unique. I think that's something that the city can benefit from. I think that, as these identifying markers, as you come into the city of South Fulton, you're going to know that you are in the city of South Fulton. Right. And that's something that the community and fire can share to doing a collaborative effort. And I think that's just something that is, bottom line is, it sets us apart from the rest. So, and get this, in positive news making.
Yes, sir.
Exactly.
So, and thank you for all you do, Chief Washington. And so,
oh, no problem.
I
say no problem. Definitely a pleasure to serve the citizens of the city of South Fulton. Yeah,
man. And then I want y'all to talk about too is like, this upcoming Friday is like, y'all can go for the trifecta, man. It's like, y'all try to have all these trophies in the case, but I don't know, man. It's like, I don't know what to say about that. It's like, but I want a big showing because this is the finale.
Yeah, we're gonna try.
Oh yeah.
Well, fortunately, my nephew has a football game Friday, so I'll be.
He's going to the NFL, so we do understand that he's gonna be there.
That's right. But I'll be rooting for you.
And then we also supposed to have our new CDRA director, Mr. Derek Hull, is on with us tonight as well.
He's on here.
So, Mr. Hull.
Yes, he's on here. Mr. Hull.
What's going on, Mr. Hull?
Look at his phone is on mute. His thing is on mute.
Yeah, how you guys doing tonight?
Hey,
wonderful. How are you?
Oh man, all right. Yeah, this young gentleman, okay, I'm gonna let him tell his story, but let me just say, change that is the only constant. Sometimes you get, it's rough, but I will inform you, before any road was paved, it was first crushing around, okay? And so, but we, I'll let him tell the stories. So listen here, we got two dynamic people on here, and with the sake of time, because as I do this every Monday night, they started South Fulton University, and I'm just waiting to get my council comments. Get this.
It's already started.
But get this. They getting educated, but here we getting educated, okay? And so, because we got two of our finalists here, and so with no further ado, Chief Washington, go ahead and start us off, and you have the floor, sir.
Yeah, so I'd be happy to answer any questions concerning hydrant inspections and documentations. Ms. Williams was saying that some of the citizens have some questions concerning the hydrants being inspected. So what I'll do, I'll just open the floor to anybody that has any questions concerning that.
Okay, so I'm gonna start, okay, because I want to make sure that the councilman had reported a fire hydrant to me that was down, and it was on matter, and you received that, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so just let us know what happened with that.
So basically, when a hydrant is damaged, knocked over, inoperable, what the captain does when he gets back to the station, him or her, when they get back to the station, they send a repair request to Atlanta Watershed. Atlanta Watershed receives the request, and they send personnel out to address the issue. In the past, Atlanta Watershed, they usually respond pretty quick to any request. So what I will do, I will check back on that hydrant and see if anything has been, any work completed has been on that hydrant.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much for that. And so, okay, so I think I was a little bit confused the last time we spoke.
Okay.
So, because I'm accustomed to just seeing the silver or gray water hydrant, right? And you were saying, because, we were trying to identify or differentiate between our city and other cities.
Right.
So I was saying that we want to put some color on the fire hydrant.
Right.
And you said, yeah, the top of them are one color. Well, and I came back, I was like, no, all the fire hydrants that I've seen in the city of South Fulton, they're gray.
Okay.
So there's no color. But then I went to Union City and I said, well, wait a minute.
Right.
Okay, I see what you were saying.
Mhm.
So the top of them, like I think theirs is either green or blue. I can't remember.
Yeah,
And then somewhere else I went, it was blue. But all the ones I see in our area and throughout the city of South Fulton, they're gray. So are they supposed to be a color?
okay, so what you're seeing in Fairburn is what the NFPA standard, which basically the bonnet being a certain color actually signifies the main size under the ground. So for instance, if you see a yellow bonnet, that's typically 10 inches main size.
Okay.
Green bonnet is typically 15 inches in main size. And then a silver bonnet is 10 inches and below. Now we do have other colors. We do have an orange and we do have a blue for smaller main sizes. So the discussion that we had about painting our hydrants a certain color to kind of differentiate us from other cities, that's why I was saying we really couldn't do that because the hydrants have to be a certain color per NFPA. Now, I would have to get with Chief Dingler and Chief Moses because, don't quote me on this, but they may let a neighborhood paint a hydrant, maybe like a Dalmatian or something like that, but it would probably be only limited to maybe just one hydrant.
Oh, I see. I see. Okay, well, we'll try to work on that. But okay. So now in the city of South Fulton, though, for the hydrant that you're saying has these colors, I don't see that. I don't. Yeah, I don't see this yellow, green, yellow, green. Silver. Well, I see silver.
It's in certain areas. Like if you go down Fulton Industrial, you'll see green bonnet hydrants. You'll see some yellow bonnet hydrants. But yes, you are correct. It's mostly silver hydrants that you're going to see. And the reason you see mostly silver hydrants because over the years in Fulton County, we kind of moved away from coloring the bonnets the proper color they're supposed to be. But since we're a new city, new department, we're trying to get back to the standard because we want to be at the high standard. So that's what I was mentioning to you earlier is that I'm actually working on a program, a division I want to have that's just going to be solely dedicated to hydrant inspection and keeping up the hydrants.
Okay, because now, okay. So now we inspect the hydrants like twice a year. That's what you were saying before, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, we do.
Okay, and we just finish a inspection?
We're close to being finished. If I can share my screen.
Oh, Tamiko, you can you share his screen?
Yeah, let me see.
Yes,
I think that's it.
Okay, I see it. I see it. So,
okay.
So what I'm getting ready to share with you is our hydrant inspection dashboard. So when the crews go out, they have an iPhone in their possession and they pull up to a hydrant. It shows their location. They take a picture of a hydrant and everything they do that's done as far as inspection wise, they note it in the application. When they're finished, they take a picture of it. So on the map, all the hydrants that are completed are green. All the hydrants that are incomplete are in red. So we're I would say 80 to 90% done. But let me share my screen so you can see exactly, because I know we had a conversation about, well, how do you know the hydrant's been inspected? So let me share my screen here. Okay, let's stop. Okay, share.
Is not allowing you to share your screen?
Yeah, it's taking me to system preferences. Hold on 1 second. Allow the absolute record. Okay, here we go. Just hold on 1 second. Okay, can y'all see my screen?
No, I don't see it.
Can you see it now?
Oh, wait a minute. Yep, yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
So you can see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay, so hold on. All right. Okay, so let me see if I can zoom out a little bit. So this is the city of South Fulton. You can see it's kind of cluttered with the hydrants, but you can kind of see each territory, Station 5, Station 7, 1, 3, 4s, and so on and so forth.
Right.
So all the hydrants that are green have been completed.
Oh, okay.
If you see a hydrant that's black, that means that's a hydrant that needs some type of repair done to it. So
Oh, okay.
let's go over to the Station 7. Let's pick out a hydrant. Let's pick out this one right here. So it shows that it's operable, it flowed. So they did all the checkoffs. It shows that it was completed. It shows what shift and it shows what station did it. And then you also get a photo of the hydrant. So that's them checking the hydrant right there.
That
So,
water is dirty.
yeah, and that's why we have to flow it. So they flow it until it's clear.
Clear. Oh,
Yes.
wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why, and I think in the newsletter we had put out when we were getting ready to inspect hydrants to make sure that the residents try to keep from doing any kind of washing while we're inspecting hydrants, because that dirty water could backflow into your system.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's good info.
So that's one picture, and then this is another picture. I'm getting ready to put the caps back on. So at the end of every week, this is what I refer to just to see where we are on hydrant inspections. So as you can see, most of them are done. It's just we got areas in Station 3 and Station 4 that really need to be addressed.
Do you know how many hydrants we have in total in the city of South Fulton?
Yes, ma'am. We have 5,418 hydrants.
This is Tamiko. I wanted to ask a question.
Yes,
I went to another city and they had some of theirs painted like the dogs, the fire dogs,
The Dalmatian or something?
the Dalmatians. So are we able to do a design on ours?
Okay, what city was that, and how many hydrants did they have painted like that? Where was it located? Where was that hydrant located? Do you remember?
That was Douglasville.
That was Douglasville?
Yes, it was Douglasville, and it was through the city, wasn't it, Tamiko?
We went through a parade and every the route of the parade, all of them were painted.
Okay, so maybe the city of Douglasville allowed a certain amount of hydrants to be painted like that, but generally we're not allowed to paint hydrants like that. But that would have to really come from the fire chief and Chief Dingler and Chief Moses, who is over CRR. So I'm not saying it's something that we can't do for maybe a certain amount of hydrants, but I know for a fact we can't paint every single hydrant like that.
Miss Sheila has her hand raised.
Okay, Ms. Sheila?
Hey, everybody, this is Sheila Brown.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm well. I noticed that you all did the inspection in our neighborhood last month. You inspected the hydrants.
Yes, ma'am.
a couple of years ago, you all come out and paint them too periodically. And I had just finished painting the ones in my subdivision about 2 weeks prior to I saw the truck coming out painting the because we paint them like every 2 years.
Okay.
And I had just completed painting them, and then I saw the truck come out to paint them like almost 3 weeks after I had painted them. And I stopped them. I said, well, wait, you don't have to paint them. They said, oh, look like they freshly painted. I said, I did. So do you know when they paint them again? So we won't paint them, or I can go to Fire Station 7 and say, hey, we just painted ours, so we can find the schedule of when they painted them, because periodically we go in and paint our own in our subdivision to make them look fresh.
Okay. And you know what? I commend you on doing that, but you don't have to do that because we're supposed to paint them every 5 years. So when it's so when it's time to paint them, well, I say every 5 years or as needed. So when we see that we have some hydrants that really need painting badly, what we do is we get with Atlanta Watershed and we request the paint from them, and they deliver the paint to us, and the crews will go out and paint the hydrants that need painting. But every 5 years, we're supposed to paint the hydrants.
Okay, but they did come out and paint them, but I had just painted them 2.5 weeks, almost 3 weeks prior to them coming. I'm like, when I saw the truck with the paint, I was like, oh, he said, and I stopped him. I said, he said, oh, no wonder, it looked like somebody. I said, we just painted these about 2.5 weeks ago. So it's every 5 years that they come paint them. But when they start rusting or whatever in our area, we just buy the aluminum paint, the can paint, and put it on there, and we just paint them ourselves. I mean, we've been doing it since we've been here in this subdivision. So.
Okay.
And what color do y'all paint y'all, Miss Sheila?
The same silver, the same color that they put on them, the exact same color. Yeah, we don't try to paint them any other color, because I knew that you had to get permission. So I knew about getting the permission, because I talked to someone in another area. They say, oh, you just can't paint them like you want to. You have to get permission. So I stopped one of the guys one day when they were over here, and they told me the same thing. No, you just can't go and paint them because you want to paint them another color. You have to go and get an approval. So I knew you had to get approval to get them painted.
That's correct. And any other questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, my issue is I live in a subdivision where the public works don't cut the grass. There's a street coming in that public works used to take care of before we became South Fulton. It's off of Jerome Road.
Okay.
And I've called and complained. A lot of people have complained about that. In past maybe 5 years, they've only cut that grass maybe once a year. And the grass is so bad that it used to be called Three Lakes. It was a larger body of water on the right coming in and a smaller body on the left coming in. I consider it a pond, since I was born and raised on the coast. But y'all call it a lake here in Atlanta. But the point is, there are 2 fire hydrants in that spot, and they're covered by bush. And I spoke to somebody this past Friday again about the cutting that grass, because if an emergency vehicle has to come down in the subdivision, there is no sidewalk, and the bushes are now almost in the middle of the street.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying?
Yes,
so if you come in a subdivision, you have to drive almost to the left side of the road, because that's how far the bushes have grown. 6 feet out in the middle of the street or further in some spots.
The hydrant is not visible at all, or it's just difficult.
Well, you could see a little piece of the top of maybe one of them. So my issue is not the colors. My issue is access.
Okay.
Have an address?
You're in 3 Lakes.
Yeah.
Lakes.
And I guess because my complaint was that the new mayor campaigned on putting sidewalks in South Fulton and on Jerome Road, from where the police department is coming down, there is minimum sidewalks there. And so people have to walk on the road or in the grass, and they don't cut the grass that often. It's really sad. And
Okay.
I put one of my cars in the shop the other day and I had to walk home. I'm walking on the highway. You know, cars are coming by real fast, and that's sort of a dangerous spot to be in. And, you know, they promised that they were looking as usual. But,
Do you know where the hydrants are at? Are they on 3 Lakes Drive or Meadow Lake or Twin Lake Drive?
It should be 3 Lakes subdivision. I believe that's 3 Lakes coming in.
Okay, so this is 3 Lakes right here. So let's take a look at
Yeah,
this first hydrant here.
right there.
Let's see. This is one of them.
2 on one side.
Okay, let me go to the
Like
next.
one. Yeah, I saw there's a he lives somewhere in the subdivisions. I go sometime just clean that up as much as possible. But it's way out of hand now.
Okay, that's not it. So let me see.
A little bit further down. There's probably about 4 or 5 houses.
Okay, so maybe
So
down here. These down here.
Yeah, well, coming in, you should find was that probably go for maybe 2 football fields or something like that. And that so nobody owns prop. You know, I'm assuming that city.
Okay, so what I'll do, since I got the information, I'll just have a crew go back out and make sure that that hydrant is,
It's right across there.
say again?
I said it should be right across from that house. It's somewhere in that.
Somewhere.
There.
Okay. Well, we'll find it and we'll definitely address it. But the rule is when crews come up to a hydrant that has bush around it or grass, the grass is real high, they're supposed to have 3 feet of clearance around that. They're supposed to cut 3 feet of clearance around that hydrant. And any bushes that's concealing the hydrant or hanging over the hydrant, they're supposed to cut around those bushes because the hydrant is supposed to be visible.
Well, you can't even see the sidewalk.
Okay.
I'm telling you that. And every year, those vines that just grow out of that area, and so nobody comes out and deal with it anymore.
Okay. Well, I definitely make sure that those hydrants are visible.
You have a question in the chat. How long does it take for the water to become dirty? And if you have a fire and the water is dirty, does it work as well as clean water?
So the practice is when you get to a hydrant and we're getting ready to use it, we flush it until we see clean water. The reason the water is dirty, or what it is actually rust. The pipes over the years have developed sediment and rust inside the pipes. So when we open those hydrants, that orange color is the rust that's mixed with the water. So best practice is pull up to a hydrant, open it up completely, flush it until we see clean water, and then close it. That's what we do when we are getting ready to use it on a fire, and that's what we do when we get ready to inspect it as well.
But I think the question was also, Mr. Washington, is does it matter, like, if that water is dirty and a fire happens in that area where you need that hydrant, does
Right.
it matter when you're trying to put that fire out?
Well, it's going to be, it's not going to be a factor because we're not going to use dirty water. For one, we practice to get clear water, because if we have an engine on that hydrant, that sediment gets into the engine and into the pump, and it tears the pump up. So at no time will we use dirty water.
So then what you're saying is, if just so happens, a fire happens,
Mm-hmm.
you hook up to that fire hydrant and see that it is dirty. Well, first of all, are you checking to see? So when you first hook it up, do you hook it up first, or do you let the water out to see if the water comes out and then you hook it up?
Yeah,
Or,
we flush it. We flush it first until we see clean water. Then we turn it off, and then we hook the hose up to the hydrant, and then we turn it back on.
okay, and then
So at no time will we be fighting fire with dirty, contaminated water.
okay, great, thank you.
Mhm.
Now, did Mr. Nathan Brown, did you have a question? I saw you.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, I heard my name.
Yes, did you have a question? I saw your hand up for a minute.
I think it was maybe in two parts. One was about the cleaning of the grass so that they can get to the fire hydrants, because that was one of my complaints last week. But the other was about, getting some sidewalks on Jerome Road.
Okay.
All right, we have one more question, and then we're gonna wrap up for you. What happens when there is an emergency on/off Fellwood or Mallory Roads and the CSX train blocks the access from Highway 29, Roosevelt Highway?
So if an engine is responding to a call and a train is going by, we get on the radio and we say, dispatch, be advised, we've been stopped due to a train, and as soon as the train clears, we will be back en route.
So what about the ones where it sits for hours?
We'll find an alternate route, because the rule is they're not supposed to block. They're only supposed to block one crossing. They're not supposed to block two or more. So typically, if one crossing is blocked, we can go down further and go across at another crossing. But that's the rule. Sometimes it doesn't happen like that, but most of the time they're only blocking one crossing.
And also, Tamiko, I'm tell you what happened. I took a video of this. The train was just as the person just asked that question. Train was on the track. Fire truck came down the road. They had to turn around.
Yeah. And then sometimes if we have another engine that's in service that's on the other side, and the officer feels like it may be extenuating, extended wait, we can get another engine to respond to that call. So it just depends.
All right, thank
Thank you,
you
Mr.
so much. If you can stop your screen share.
Okay.
Get ready to let Mr. Hug come on and present, and then we'll you're more than welcome to hang out.
Okay. And Miss Williams has my contact information, so y'all are free to get my contact information from her, and call me anytime concerning anything as fire related. If I can help you, if I can't help you, I'll make sure I get you to the right person that can help you.
Absolutely. And Chief Washington, again, thank you for taking time out of your day and addressing here as this continuing education Monday night here is we appreciate that. But there is a one fire hydrant I forgot to give to Miss Jane, and so it's at the very end of Estes Road off of Bufferton Road, and so it doesn't work. And when they come out to test it, they didn't test that particular one as well. So yes, sir, Estes, and I will get the no, I'm sorry, Ravenwood. I'm sorry, that's the street right before Estes, Ravenwood. It's at the end of that street. And so I'll ensure I get Jane that address so she can follow up with you on that.
Okay, at the end of Ravenwood, and the hydrant is inoperable.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
All right, we'll get right on it.
All right, and thanks again for your time, sir.
Okay, well, I appreciate y'all inviting me. Invite me back anytime, and I'll be glad to participate.
Will you be playing Friday night at the kickball game for y'all trying to go for y'all 3-for-3 trophy?
I'm not going to play. I'm waiting for the softball game.
Coming up. That's what I'm talking about right there. Yes, indeed. All right. And so now we're going to bring to y'all, y'all want to know about cottage homes with a tiny home square footprint in it. Y'all want to know about the $1 million homes. Y'all want to know about planning. Y'all want to know about execution, implementation, design, build. This young man comes out of California, a very extensive background, very knowledgeable person. I love it when people come in and take ownership of their space and says, you know, I'm the director, let me direct. And so with no further ado, I'm going to introduce to you our new CDRA director. And so that's Community Development and Regulatory Affairs. And Mr. Derek Hull, you do have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. And as I always say, it's such a pleasure when I'm able to talk to the residents, the business owners of the city of South Fulton. So as the Mayor Pro Tem mentioned, my name is Derek Hull. So I started with the city of South Fulton Memorial Day week leading up to the weekend. And it's been nonstop ever since. And as Community Development Director, I'm chiefly responsible for all of the planning, permitting, engineering activities, building activities for the city. So in true planner fashion, I have a brief PowerPoint and it'll just kind of take you through the organization of the department. And you're actually coming in at a good time because recently we developed some slides for the year end to look at as a city kind of what we've done in the community development department. So if you will allow me to share screen, I will go into a PowerPoint presentation. Let's see. Let's see if I see it. I think that's it. Okay. So can you guys see the screen? Hopefully. Great.
Yes.
All right. Sounds good. So the Community Development and Regulatory Affairs Division department is made up of the Building Division, Development Services Division, Engineering Division, the Planning Division, and then most recently, we have taken on the administering of HUD programs and other federal programs. So we'll briefly talk about them. But as I was telling the Mayor Pro Tem, his Monday meeting is so timely because, you know, as I've been into this role for 2 months, part of what I want to do and part of what I am so excited to see when I see members, elected officials in the city have these community meetings, because at my heart, I believe in community engagement. It's important that we share information with the community related to planning, development, all activities coming from my department. And so part of what I'm going to charge this group with tonight is if they would be willing, or if they know someone that's that would be interested in signing up for what I call the City of South Fulton Community Planning Teams. And these are individuals that live in the community that will help me to talk about different topics, everything from fair housing, affordable housing, market rate housing, different types of housing, cottage homes, I think I heard Mayor Pro Tem mention, senior housing, different types of economic development projects, what is desired, what's not desired, commercial developments, understanding the zoning process, understanding what a comprehensive plan. The idea behind these community planning teams, and this is the first time that I'm publicly announcing it, but the idea is to equip the community with the education and the skills so that when projects come before you, or if you're interested in doing projects in the city, you know what it takes to get through these projects, so forth and so on. So, but before I begin to kind of go into that, let me talk a little bit about the divisions. As I mentioned, we are comprised of 4 divisions, and then this 5th kind of activity that we do is we administer HUD programs and other federal programs. So as it relates to the building division, which is chiefly responsible for issuing building permits across the city. As you know, City of South Fulton is a fairly newly incorporated city, 5 years and growing. And as a result, we encompass a great deal of landmass as compared to many of the newly established municipalities in Metro Atlanta. So we're right around 84, 85, 86 square miles, which is a nice size city. Think of, we have a similar geographic size as the city of Baltimore, for instance. Land-wise, we are larger than the city of San Francisco. And so, we have a great deal amount of land that's ready for development. And so it's no secret that all across Metro Atlanta, City of South Fulton is probably in the top 3 of communities in terms of development interest from private sector. So that can be a good thing, and that could be a bad thing. But we have a building division that, as you can see from this statistic, and I actually asked my staff in preparation for this meeting and some other community meetings I'll be having this week, also our budget presentation, what's going to be coming up, but to run some general stats so the community can see kind of what we deal with on an annual basis. So from October 1, 2021 through August 15th, which would be today, we have issued 1,147 building permits. In addition, we've issued 439 electrical permits. We've issued 97 fence permits, 13 land disturbance permits, 327 mechanical permits, 144 plumbing permits, and 74 sign permits. So for a city that's just starting, you can see we've done a lot of activity, and we still have a month and a half to go in this fiscal year. So our fiscal year for the city ends on September 30th, and we still expect for these numbers to change. And what this does, this helps us to build out our community, but it also helps to generate the needed revenue that we need to carry about the day-to-day functions and to operate a city of our size. Next, we have the Development Services Division. And what's unique about this division is when you come into City Hall, you immediately meet these individuals. They are hopefully the friendly and helpful faces that you see behind the glass, the plexiglass. And the individuals that work in this area are chiefly responsible for issuing all the permits. So the building division issues building permits, but when you want your permit in hand or when you want it emailed to you, the staff members of the Development Services Division are the individuals that issue all permits. They also issue special event permits. So if you are a member of a church, if you are a member of a fraternal organization of sorts, and you're having special events, if you are a community leader and you're leading a particular activity, a parade or a march or anything of that nature, this particular division will issue those types of permits. They also are responsible for film permits. You can imagine with, with Georgia becoming very competitive in terms of the filming industry. And as Mayor Pro Tem mentioned, I come from California, and I've seen a lot of films, a lot of TV shows. Oftentimes when you're driving through Los Angeles, it's rare that streets are not blocked off because they're filming some show or they're filming some movie. Well, because of the notoriety of Georgia and the interest of filming in this state, film permits have picked up a great deal. And so this particular division issues those film permits for the city. And then finally, they are responsible for taking applicants through the SAGES training, which SAGES is our permitting system. And so they provide assistance and they provide training in that regard. So just in terms of the number of permits, and these may or may not coincide with what the building department has provided in the previous slide, but you can see that they're on average from issuing anywhere between 150 to over 300 permits per month. And then in terms of meeting and engaging with the public, as low as 11 people per month, all the way through, in April, where we had contact with 225 individuals. So they are really the face of the city. They provide the necessary resources, and they help us to facilitate, the welcoming disposition that a city wants to have, that we are a good place to do business. Not to be outdone, our engineering department is chiefly responsible for land disturbance permits. And, in the state of Georgia, when you move a certain amount of land, you're required before you can start work to apply for and get approved for a land disturbance permit. Plat maps, if you are subdividing your land and you want to get those recorded, they are chiefly responsible for plat maps. And then most importantly and most concerning, they are there to conduct field inspections. So, with the city of South Fulton and with a lot of construction going on, we see a lot of issues with erosion. So a lot of runoff, particularly with these rains, which are unpredictable. And so our field inspectors are going out daily to look at subdivisions currently under construction, and just to record and to engage in dialogue with the developer to make sure he or she has the right provisions in mind so that they can control erosion. And then also, as the project is nearing completion, they go out and they do field inspections. They literally plan check in person, and they make sure what's been approved on paper is being built in the physical realm. The planning division, which most people are probably most familiar with, only because of the various public hearings and the various requests, the amount of letters that you may receive depending upon where you live in the city. Just last week, we had to send out 5,888 mailers for upcoming change of zones, and I think variances and some other activities that are going on in the city. But chiefly, the planning division is responsible for comprehensive plan amendments. There was a comprehensive plan that was adopted in the city in December 2021. Mayor Pro Tem and some other elected officials have told me that they are interested in doing some amendments to that. So I'm going to be assisting them in the next fiscal year. Change of zones or zone changes. When individuals have a certain zoning designation, but they're seeking to get a different zoning designation, then they apply for a zone change. A zoning modification may be for an existing entitlement, something that's already been constructed, but they are looking to get a modification to what's permitted. Variances are deviations from your typical development standards. Special use permits, those types of permits that require conditions to be set because of the sheer nature of the type of use. And then, of course, advanced planning and planning studies. And I can tell you, as Mayor Pro Tem represents District 5, he is a part of a planning study that we call Old National Living Centers Initiative, LCI. And so that straddles districts 5, 6, and I believe 7 in lower South Fulton. And as a result of that, we are engaging in a number of planning activities, charrette activities, planning meetings, where we're seeking community support to really develop a plan to revitalize the Old National Corridor. Now, just out of curiosity, if you're curious about what the planning division has done this year, as it relates to commercial development, we've looked at approximately 140,000 square feet of commercial space, industrial space, about 320,000. When you break it down by residential units, we have permitted anywhere, or meaning we've approved plans for 202 townhomes, 905 apartments, 796 single family homes, and 124 units of senior housing. Specific to the different types of applications, we've had 14 rezoning hearings, 4 variances, 8 special use permits, and 3 modifications. And some of them were probably done concurrently. So as you can see, this is a very busy department. We get a lot of inquiries related to the planning activities, and very highly visible, and many of their cases result in public hearings that either go before the Planning Commission and the Zoning Board of Appeals before being approved or considered, I should say, by City Council. And I just had an extra slide to show kind of the difference between future land use. So think of the comprehensive plan as the 50,000-foot view looking down, and providing the general parameters of what is preferred, what is desired over the course of 5, 10, 15, 20 years. The zoning map is a little bit different in that it provides specific development standards so that people understand and know what they can and cannot do on their particular property, on their parcel. So it regulates the types of uses and what you can and cannot do based upon the surrounding area, based upon the intensity of development that's required, based upon topography, based upon historical uses, land uses in the area, various aspects. And then finally, I mentioned the HUD program. So we administer for HUD what we call our Community Development Block Grant Program, CDBG. It just so happened that tomorrow we'll be having a public hearing to adopt funding for this year. HUD, through their allocation formula, provided the city with $466,408. And the intent of this funding is to develop viable urban communities by providing decent housing and a suitable living environment, and by expanding economic opportunities. That's kind of the mission of CDBG. There are 3 national objectives. And so any project, any program, any activity that you do where you spend this money, you must meet one of these 3 national objectives. Benefit low to moderate income persons. And what HUD has is a formula where they can calculate the census tract, and they can determine if the census tract is low to moderate. And I can tell you that the majority of these eligible census tracts are in districts 5, 6, and 7 along the Old National Corridor. Number 2, they aid in the prevention or elimination of slum and blight. And 3, they meet the need having a particular urgency, referred to as an urgent need. And so I say all this to say this is perfect timing. And I had heard someone earlier talk about sidewalks. So in eligible census tracts, like those that are in districts 5, 6, and 7, you can fund things like sidewalk repair or sidewalk installation. You can fund things like demolition of buildings. You can fund things like some sewer repair, sewer work. Those are considered eligible activities. You can fund some specific types of code enforcement activity. You can also fund economic development. And so what we have prepared for council to consider and for the public to consider tomorrow at our 4 o'clock meeting is a proposal to spend this $466,000 on some activities, generally in code enforcement and public service, so improvements to some buildings and or ADA ramps and some ADA requirements, and then to also do some training in fair housing and counseling, and then obviously administration of the program. So that is it in a nutshell. That's the Community Development Department. I'll just, for the benefit, I will just go back to highlight the 4 divisions, and then of course our HUD programs. Our other federal program right now that we are administering, and there are several departments across the city that are administering this, and that is the American Rescue Plan funding. And you will soon hear about a program where we're going to continue to pay mortgage and rental assistance for people who have been impacted by COVID-19 and may have experienced a loss of a job or a decrease in their income. And so we'll be rolling out this program really soon to assist our residents who are in need. And with that, I will conclude my presentation. Hopefully it wasn't too long, but I will open it up for any questions.
Oh man, Mr. Hall, if you want to go longer, now I don't think that we're gonna have now one objection, because I get there. It's gonna be a little conversation now. And so I do love it, and I thank you for your presentation, as it's awesome. As y'all hear it first, right? Hey, get this, straight from the horse's mouth, no interpretation here. And so, but we do want to, yes, I believe in cottage homes, okay? Yes, I believe in tiny homes within those footprint. And so we did a tiny home tour. We did a cottage home tour that had tiny homes within that. It was one of them within that building footprint. I didn't get an opportunity to have Mr. Hull come out. That would have been a great opportunity. As you know, we want everybody to be educated and not misinformed. And I'm going to leave it up to this. I say my questions for last, but I just want to thank you again, brother. Like, you spot on with that. And I think there's going to be a little growing pains. You got some adjustments here, there, move some X's and O's. But, one thing what made Nick Saban a great coach is he make adjustments in mid-shift, okay? And so we can do that, as we want that championship ring. And so as you win awards too for great community development. Isn't that correct, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes,
you
sir.
want that championship ring, don't you, sir? I'm trying to tell you, we don't believe in participation trophies over here. Like, you know what I mean? We want that ring. But yeah, right. Go ahead and open it up to the floor.
Indeed.
Okay, is Tamiko on? Okay, so I saw Ms. Collins had some questions in the chat as well, Corey. So
Jay, you had your hand up. Do you have a question?
Okay, very good. Yes, I have a question. So, Mr. Hull, thank you so much for coming on tonight. One of my issues and pet peeves have always been sidewalks. These overgrown trees, overgrown grass, ADA non-compliance, lighting, etc. So how do we go about getting some of this money in order to get these sidewalks completed, especially on Flat Shoals Road? And they need to be sidewalks on both sides of the street, okay? Because these sidewalks go to nowhere. They're broken sidewalks, or they go so far, they start up, somewhere else, and then you get to, like, if you walk from the library to 85, you don't even have the ADA compliance. So if someone's walking up there, or in a wheelchair or something, it's dangerous for them, because they got to go around on the street. So how do we go about getting some of that money, sir?
Well, there are a couple of departments, not just my department. I have what I consider to be a small pot of money, because we will get this, this CDBG funds every year now. But as a part of the city's capital improvement plan, we will take on the installation of many of these public improvements. We call them public infrastructure projects. But one of the charges and one of my goals for 2023 is going to be, we're going to implement a development impact study. Because the challenge here in Georgia is a pro-land rights state. And developers here don't necessarily pay their fair share. I can tell you in places like California, when you do a subdivision of 250 homes or more, not only do you put in all of the infrastructure, but you take that sidewalk out to the closest major intersection. It is required.
Yeah,
It
right.
is, turned over to the
And it
city
should be.
for maintenance. But here in Georgia, as soon as the property boundaries stop, then you are not required to put in infrastructure beyond your project boundaries. And that makes no sense for the points that you just made, Ms. Williams. We have people who are, they require ADA assistance. Whatever form of disability they may have, they may not be able to maneuver walking in the middle of a street. And so they need to have a dedicated sidewalk. And so they may have visual impairments. And so they might need to have the raised bubbles that what we call at the end of a sidewalk to let them know that they're going to cross a street.
That's right.
Intersection. So, those are some of the things, but I will tell you that, we've anticipated this. We're looking at trying to figure out how we can bridge the gap in districts 5, 6, and 7 in particular, because those are the eligible census tracts. That entire area is where a lot of the activity can occur, and how we can fund some of these needed initiatives. So I was just going to say, so in addition to the CDBG, what you will hear about in the next couple of months will be the city is launching this development impact fee. So developers will be assessed now a fee, and they will either be given the option to do the improvement, I'm saying beyond their project, or they will have to put the money into a pot and the city will do it ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I was just asking because when you said that we had the HUD had given us this $466,408,000, that some of that was to go to ramps and sidewalks. That's why I asked you about it, because everybody know I talk about the sidewalks all the time. So that's why I asked about that.
Okay, yeah, no worries.
Okay, thank you.
All right, yeah.
Ms. Collins.
Hello, everyone. My question is,
Hey, Ms. Collins.
hello, how you doing? Mr. Hull?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you said that the builders will be required with the impact fee. Now, will that be a bond? And if they do not, how long will that bond stay in effect to require this work to be taken care of?
It's not necessarily going to be a bond. Think of it as, we see the city in its current state, but when we get developers who are coming into the community and we call it in planning, urbanizing, they're rapidly expanding the growth and accelerating the growth through development, they have to pay their fair share. Not just, because we know what happens with developers. After they build their project, and they sell off their homes, or they sell off the commercial businesses or the industrial businesses, then they go away and they do their next project. But we are left to maintain the infrastructure that new development brought in. So that's what is referred to as the impact, right? That's the impact part of the of the development impact. And so it's not necessarily a bond. We will go through this exercise. We will assess what the cost for public infrastructure will be. And then as a part of getting their approval, they will be required, they will be conditioned before they can even issue a permit to start construction. They will have to pay this money.
Okay, one other question is then, in that development, so that should include the sidewalks, decel lanes, additional lanes, if necessary, the infrastructure to make the traffic flow better. Because the traffic now is already bad. And the more development we have, the worse it's going to get.
Yes.
So decel lanes are very important.
Yes, decel lanes, but lighting, parks, sewer connections, all of those things that we kind of take for granted, it will be a part of the overall development impact fee that individuals will have to provide. And I'm looking at some of the comments. Yes, many cities in Georgia, because they have enacted impact fees. And the reason why is no one goes back to the developer when the developer leaves and goes on to the next development project. They come to the city and say, well, your neighborhoods are not connected. As Ms. Williams said earlier, your sidewalk starts here and then it stops a half a block. And then there's some grass and you can't even walk to the closest bus stop if you wanted to, or the closest supermarket if you wanted to walk. So what we have to do is to make sure that developers encourage them to do it, but say you have to pay your fair share because you're increasing the rapid urbanization in our community. And this is not something that the city brought on. It's the result of you doing development within our city.
Okay, because we had 2 accidents this weekend at Fairwood and Roosevelt.
Yes.
Because of the traffic in the area and the number of individuals that have moved, and no traffic study, I'm sure, was done to review it to see what the impact was going to be on the community. Thank you.
Yes, all very good points.
I have a couple of questions on here. So one of the questions is, hold on. You got a lot of comments going on. Normally they raise their hand.
I'm ready for them. Yeah, I'm used to this. So
all right. Do you have a one pager of the requirements for rezoning, or do you believe it's a case by case situation?
Oh no, we got so the zoning provisions for South Fulton are governed by Georgia planning and zoning law. So, but there are findings that when staff is doing the analysis and preparing the staff report that we have to do. And so those are the things. What I can do is do a quick summary of those and put it up on the website so that people can kind of see what a rezoning is. But one of the things that you always look at is compatibility. We don't want to be like a Houston, Texas, and I don't mean to tease Houston, but if you've been to Houston, you know what I mean. You'll have some single family residences right next to 60-story skyscrapers. I mean, literally next door. And it's because they had very lax zoning, and in some cases they had no zoning. They just allowed development to run rampant.
Can we maybe have an infographic of the process instead of just a little list, so people can visually follow how the zoning process works?
Sure. Yeah, we can do that. We have some nice little graphics that we could do. As you all know, there's several. We have probably too many zoning districts. We took all the zoning districts that were from Fulton County, but just imagine Fulton County is over 1,000 square miles. We're only 84 square miles. So we don't need all of those different zoning districts. But we just took everything that they had, so.
Why does it take a long time to get a business license from the city?
It should not take a long time, particularly if the particularly if the building is already existing. So that is a combination of the finance department, which is where the business licenses division resides. My department gets involved because we verify that the business can appropriately operate in a location. And then I think fire department also gets involved if there might be an inspection that's required and building division. So on average, I would say it should take, anywhere from 5 to 10 days max. Sometimes that's not the case just because of maybe the volume or people not really understanding exactly what is being proposed. I've seen a number of business license applications where they don't have a strict project description. We're not clear about what they're trying to do. And so sometimes it's this back and forth between the applicant and the city about trying to define exactly what they want. But that's something that I'm happy to share with our team about, see how we can streamline our process, because I have heard of complaints related to how long it takes for business licenses.
And I'm gonna have to give a small plug to Facts to Thrive. We just had the business startup summit this past Saturday over at Burdett, and we actually had our business license staff come out and talk about how to get through the business license application process and answer questions for clarity. So just know that we do provide the resources to you. Next question. It's will the engineering, hold on, this is pretty long.
I think I saw it.
All right, will the engineering process continue to be outsourced? If so, will you oversee, because in the past, the engineers have made poor decisions on placing buildings in wrong areas on the property. Should building permits be provided without the community involvement?
So let me answer that last question first. What we have in the planning world, we have these things called discretionary items, and those are the things that require public hearings. And then we have these things called ministerial or administratively approved items. Those are things that are approved by, they are approved by right, and they can be issued by staff. And so those are the types of applications where the community really has no say-so, because it's like filing for a yard sale, or filing for you want to put up a fence and you're going to meet all the requirements and the code. And so you put up your fence. But when you're changing your zone, when you're doing something that's going to require a public hearing, change the zone, a variance, something along those lines, a modification to an existing entitlement, a special use permit, you might want to operate a nightclub that's close to a residential area, and we might have to condition it so that it closes down so that it's not a nuisance to the residents. Those are the things where the public can have a say-so and get involved. But when it's a strict building permit or a business license, chances are if it's permitted by right, there will be little to no say-so. In terms of engineering, there are two types of engineering. There's an engineering section that's in our public works division and department, and then there's an engineering section that's a part of community development. So that currently isn't being outsourced. That's done in-house. We have engineering inspectors, and we have some civil engineers. We have a couple of consultants that are working with us now, partly to help us with our backlog. But that part is not outsourced. Now, Public Works engages in a contract with Jacobs, and Jacobs does traffic studies for us. They look at traffic impact analysis, things of that nature. And I'm not sure what the intent is in terms of Jacobs and its current capacity. But what I do know is that there are some engineering functions that reside in-house in my department and in Public Works, and then we outsource some of the Jacobs work related specifically to traffic and engineering.
What happens when an individual removes trees to build without a permit?
So it depends upon the tree, and it depends upon the diameter of the tree. As you all may well know, we have an arborist. We have a couple of arborists actually, and so they are there to assist us to make sure that people understand what's required if and when they want to remove trees. There is a tree permit on our sages that people should apply for, but it's only when the tree reaches a certain diameter or larger. And that's kind of one of those things where we could probably just do a quick reference sheet to say, you know, have questions about trees, contact our arborist. If your tree is smaller than this, you don't need a permit. If your tree is bigger than this, then you need a permit, and so forth and so on. So that's a good question to ask, and I think that's some information that we can prepare in the next couple of weeks with our communications department.
Absolutely. And so, you know, because, you know, we got all this 1 million tree initiatives and everything else.
Yeah.
And so it's like, you know, but and get this. And we gave away trees for Earth Day. It was oak, maple, and red oak, maple, and regular oak trees and red maple. And so get this. So next year for Earth Day, ladies and gentlemen, I'm trying to tell you now, just found a supplier. It's because we're going to away fruit trees. And so we're going to do like some blueberry, lemons. And so, because everybody planting gardens and things like that, you know, get this. You got to have something sweet too after that good vegetable meal or whatever you want to have. Blueberry pie, ooh, fresh from the garden, I'll tell you. As ain't nothing like that. Anybody can make a blackberry pie? If you can, save me a slice. I promise you, I'm coming to get it. Okay. And so, as my thing though is, I did want to talk to Mr. Hull about this because I did want to let the constituency that I represent that, you know, I've been working on this for a while, but I understand this. It takes communication, right? And I'm the type of person, if you're a subject matter expert, I can come with an idea, but you're the subject matter expert. Here's what I would like to see, but I'm gonna let you be that. Can I stay in my lane? And so, but it's good when you have somebody who can come back and communicate with you on the options on what it is you do. Because Mr. Holotay is like, I said, hey, I got to take it to the community first. Now, you know, and he said, well, you know, we need to, you know, do some things over here first before that can transpire. And I understand why. And so, because understand this, those people have a recourse of a lawsuit. And my position being fiduciary is you have to take that into consideration. Because when we spend money on a lawsuit to go fight this, end up losing anyway, and it still gets developed. But that has wasted your resource. That has, you know, that's money taken away from connecting 150 feet of sidewalk that we won't connect to walk on Red Oak Road. I'm just saying that, you know, I got a whole video on it. And so it's, but my thing is, but it's going to take a winning attitude and understand something. And I know everybody's patience is to the wit end. They said, patience. We 5 years old, we potty trained, we got to be on a mission. But understand this, people, I'm just going to be 100% honest with you. You have to have a winning mindset in order to accomplish and achieve the objective. That's just the bottom line. And you have to want to win for the constituents, not for the elected, okay? And so you have to do that because it's you guys who deserve the quality of life and what you ask for. And so it takes money and time to build a winning team. That's just the facts. And so y'all gonna hear me say that is I want the championship ring. I don't want no participation trophies. And so, and in corporate America, they call it restructuring. And if y'all know this turmoil, we in troubled waters. Let's go listen to troubled waters over here. We can play some gospel songs and it'll get you through it. But understand something, you only get stronger through resistance. That's a fact. And so and I want y'all to take advantage of what he said tonight. What was that thing that you first announced publicly on this again? Let me just hear it one more time.
Community planning teams.
That's right there. Oh,
I'm typing it in the chat. So I'm establishing the community planning teams all across the city. And these are citizens like I'm looking at now, all of these beautiful and handsome faces. And the idea is twice a month, my staff and I will just engage in a dialogue like this. We'll have different illustrations of when we talk about mixed income housing, or mixed use development, we'll have illustrations and we'll have activities that we'll plan across the city. And I'm hitting every district, and we are going to be talking to you so that you are educated and that you understand, even from a planning perspective. You don't have to have a planning degree to understand some of these planning terms. And we want to engage you and let you see different perspectives of, the Mayor Pro Tem mentioned cottage homes. There's some resistance, there is some support of that. But just to show the range of possibilities, this is a large city. This is a large city with a nice sized geographic area. And so this isn't to say that cottage homes is going to replace all the subdivisions that we have. But, as I have, my mother is 81. And, she has a 5-bedroom house. And right now she doesn't go upstairs. And so something like a cottage home for her would be great, because she could still have 2 bedrooms and maintain 800-900 square feet and still feel like she's a part of the community and part of the home, and have a home per se. But we have to understand that there's room to encourage these types of development ideas and concepts. And if we figure out, there's a place for everything, for all of these types of different concepts. But we want to, talk to you all about it. We want to hear your ideas. We want to show you some examples, and we want to really just help educate the community so that they know, how to approach or how to talk, specifically to developers when they're coming to the community proposing these types of uses.
See, that's what I'm trying to talk about. You saw that right there. See that brand right there. See, every time you're talking, you just saw that seal, because that's a winner mindset organically. Now, you would try to say, hey, look here. And I think the same way. So to my leaders and my influencers on this community planning team, the HOA roundtable, y'all ask that, this right here is what it's for right here. As I have a little HOA roundtable. Not all of them participate, but the idea is to all of them to come together, cohort, and understand something. Y'all are the leaders and influencers in this area. There is no way that y'all should not be a part of the process to take back to y'all communities, as we want the people to be educated with the exact information so everybody's on the same page. And so that when you go speak to one, you speak to all. And it's kind of because we don't have an MPU like situation, as I try to create a de facto one, but however, what I mean? But I still believe in that process, because it brings all together, and you can get this, and you just, at the end of the day, democracy rules out there, the majority rules. And it's like certain things the community can take care of well before it even gets to the DS. And that's the way it should be. And with a person like Mr. Ho, who comes with this experience, is understand something. I never understood the sidewalks, because he was right. As we could legit legislate that and says, I never conceptualized it just stops at where the development stops. Who does that? It's because every time I go up north, I travel up north a lot. I have my families up there, but you have to understand that I just see something different. All I say is, I don't say how to get it done. I just go to see what's on the books. And all we got to do is emulate that. But I did want to speak to him about legislation that we have, and we're going to still work this out, is because when it comes to people, investors buying homes, that we want to make them, I wanted to have them to have a business license, and then them to have the standards as HUD. And we'll have to work that out. But Mr. Ho, would you tell, we can speak on this, any challenges that you foresee with that? Because this legislation, I've been having it in the queue for over a year, but it's to constantly work out these kinks and work out this stuff, because we have to be viable or want to be enforceable. And, I don't want to just put legislation on the books and say that. It has to have something behind it on a how, and that's where this comes in. So, and that's a process too. And so, because that's key to what we have and what we're facing. I know about pass split and their little loophole, but we're going to address that too. And if you can speak to anything of that, that'd be great. But what do you see with that legislation, where that's going? Because like Invesco giving Mine Company $5 billion to buy up all empty vacant properties or properties for sale and turn them into 100% rental. And so
there are some challenges, but one of the things, and we're going to talk about this, I have a speaker that so I'm going to make sure, let me say this so I'm not confusing the two. So I'm looking to create these community planning teams across the city. And then together with the economic development director, we're going to launch what we call planning and economic development speaker series. So we're going to find professionals across the country that will come to our city and talk about how our city can be successful in cultivating Black entrepreneurship. I'm from California, so in my last job, I work with some Black winemakers. Wine can be grown here in Georgia, and it's a whole experience. And for California, it's one of the biggest tourist industries that they have. $1 billion. And they have not just the making of wine and the selling of wine, but they have events that are scheduled there. They have concerts now, that they have international artists that will come because of the sheer nature of the environment of wineries. And so those are the types of things that we want, because make no mistake, a city that is 92% African American, we need to really be the poster child for how we encourage our Black men and women, our Black business owners, on how to succeed, right? That's what we should be cultivating and doing. We don't need to get people who don't necessarily look like us to come into our community to build for us. A lot of it is monetary. A lot of it is predicated on who controls the land. But in terms of commercial development and activities, and even with residential development, we need to make sure that we cultivate the relationships with people who look like the people in South Fulton, so that they can give you the products that you want. They can give you the commercial types of developments that you need, that you desire. We have some hotel projects that'll be going up shortly. Councilmember Reeves, Mayor Pro Tem Reeves, not too far from your district. They're in District 7, but they're just a stone throw away. And these are reputable hotels where you can have family reunions, and you can, they're not the hotels that we see on Fulton Industrial, right? So they're ones that we can have events and stuff at. So, we need to make sure, though, that we're a part of that process when these types of industries are coming into our city.
Well, since Mr. Ho, you announced that on your show, as I'm gonna just let you know, I do take a little pride for my constituents getting the information first-handed. I mean, to me, it makes it all worth it. Like, you know what I mean? And so, as Sheila and Jane and them been here, and Glenda, the Fairwood community, been since day one. They my day ones. But more people been coming on, because one of the things is we just bring the facts as they are. But you did say something about when District 7 and the hotels. We have one hotel. We also have a Convention and Visitors Bureau, which is funded from the 3% overage that the state legislature set back in 2017 of collection. So, and that's pretty good fun. Now, the Convention and Visitors Bureau, outside of the city, you also too work with them, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we need a convention center with a hotel. As I understand, we want those conventions. We want those marquee conventions. Mr. Ho know what that takes to bring there. But I'm going to give you this, Mr. Ho, because this is going to be the champion. Get this. You want to bring this information home? Just going to bring it home, baby. As I'm trying to tell you, like, look at this. Esports, first-class facility where we host national, international championships. There's not one in there, because get this. Esports is the absolute fastest growing sports there is, and it's taking over. Because all those people who didn't get picked, they were on the basketball court, football, get this. They end up making their likeness out there to that. They become gamers, coders. It's a segue into coding. We do have the first after-school coding camp right here in the city of South Fulton on the corner of Flat Shoals and Buffington. Also, with the only U.S. Department of Labor apprenticeship for early childhood education, right there on that corner. It's befitting because it means something to me, as it's a church on that corner. And that's the cornerstone of our communities, period. And diagonally across from that, they tore down the church and had Amazon. And I just said, But if you know about Morehouse Clark and all the HBCUs, and Morris Brown, I don't want to miss one because last time somebody got me on that, they was right. As they started in the basement of a church. So understand something, that whole little corridor, I can see somebody just driving down and coming up from north, and you see the big glass building. That'll be your first introduction to the city of South Fulton. This can't happen with networking space, shared office space, nonprofit space. Is y'all have to understand something. I'm committed to this to try to see it happen. But that sports gaming technological center that hosts national championships now, there's not one in the country like it, is Mr. Ho?
No, not at all.
That's your ring, sir. And so it is. I don't care where it's located in the city of South Fulton, it's for the city and the constituents, and everybody's gonna benefit from it. But I can guarantee you the economic impact that would draw just from the sheer announcement and the design of it. Gotta keep the crowd though, because they'll try to, I promise you, they'll try to take it. But this comes from the fist, baby. Is that this, as we want that ring, and I'm committed to it. I'm committed to giving y'all the best that it is because y'all deserve it. I don't react in certain ways, but I will take this time out because it was brought to my attention as I want to apologize to my constituents for any tone that I may have had that seemed adversarial against our mayor when I had to vote of no confidence. I pray for the mayor. I want the mayor to win. If the mayor loses, I'm telling y'all, that's not a good thing. That would not be a good thing, as we will lose. But we have to keep ourselves prayed up and keep ourselves together and keep ourselves working collaboratively together. We can agree to disagree, but y'all deserve a better representation. And we do not need to be an example of a city of why not to create a city. That hurts me because I'm from here. And so I want to apologize for that and we're going to progress forward. But I'm gonna do all that I can because understand something. Is he already set it up? He put the X's O's in place. My leaders and influencers, get this, that's y'all time to shine. As I always said, I want to set this up out there for you guys. And this was the HOA roundtable, and it took him out there to materialize it. He announced it. We never talked about this, but that was the general idea. But you needed that to come here, and you needed it to come organically because there's no influence of the council, because it shouldn't be, because it's about you. And that's the winning formula. That's the winning formula, public-private partnership at its finest. And so as I like to remove myself from the process, because I think you guys are smart enough, and you're going to learn that we got some talent on here, brother. Oh, you talk about HUD? Oh, brother, I tell you. I'm just looking for the great outcomes. As y'all dial it up, I push it through. And get this, and it's done, and we move on, and we progress forward. But we cannot do it divided. And a city divided is a city that will lose. We have to win. Love is going to rule it all, but sometimes love that neighbor as ourselves. Sometimes get there. You love your family, but sometimes you like you need to go. It's time for you to go. You okay? And come back in 2 weeks. I get you. It's just cooling off period. But we owe y'all better representation than that. That's what I do, though.
I'm gonna say we might have to have Mr. Hull come back. This is turning into a whole extra level. So just know, Mr. Hull, we're gonna have to get ready to come back because you opened up a whole nother can of questions.
Oh yeah.
We have gone past our time. And so I know you got people who want to ask some more questions. So what I'm gonna do is just do short announcements tonight. This coming Friday is Friday Night Live. We'll have the bingo inside of the community room, and we'll have the fire versus police kickball tournament at the field at the end of the street. And next Friday, it is our District 5 day to go and attend the Chicken and Biscuits theatrical play at the Southwest Art Center. And Councilman Reeves has said for those who are dedicated residents that come on this meeting that would like to attend, he will give each person 2 tickets that emails the office and let us know that they want to attend. So if any of you would like to see the play next week, we'll meet for our reception at 7 p.m. and the show starts at 8 p.m. And so with that, we'll let Councilman Reeves close out tonight.
And Mr. Holt, you are definitely invited. And so, come meet the people here. And so those who want to come, and so, your ticket is on me. So it's just, as I say, we the best. So I treat them like the best, and we gonna have the best now. It's ain't gonna be no shorting these people on anything, not particularly because they day ones. As they stick this process, good, bad, and different. We all come together to get informed, to get educated, not just appreciate their steadfastness, not for doing this for me, but doing this for themselves, and just knowing what they know and just want to be engaged. And as just organically it would be, y'all are all, the fifth is always the first to receive certain information. And so that right there is just, I'm happy. I don't know about y'all, but I'm happy about that. It's like, I'm legit happy. Is because, but Mr. Ho, I do the 150 feet of sidewalks. I understand. I would feel like I've accomplished nothing if I can't get 150 feet of sidewalks. Get this, it's 150 feet. I've seen the video. I thought of Mr. Bounceway and everybody because, and it's right there on Red Oak. And
Right.
if we can just connect that, I would be, okay, cool. I know we in the right step in the right direction. But this is the time where we can have intimate conversations. But I do like to respect people's time, and I only do like to do an hour. So we have to have Mr. Hold on for his own segment, okay? So it's like his own hour show.
I don't mind, Council Member, Mayor Pro Tem, I don't mind coming, and this is what we do. And trust me, we're hiring some more people who are just like me. So if I can't come, we'll have some staff members.
As we say, he came and showed up and showed out.
I'll get there. And we stayed an extra 30 minutes for him. And so, that's because I just like to respect people's time, but this is important because this is the number one agenda on the list. And we have a budget hearings coming up tomorrow morning, presentations. And so I appreciate you doing this today, as I really do. And I'm excited. I'm excited about the future. And, I always give people good time to get their feet wet, and so, but as you know, you've been hitting the ground running. Here it is. But hey, get this. But I like when you took ownership as a new sheriff in town, okay? I love that mentality, okay? As y'all have to understand why, because that's a winning mentality. It's like, y'all done tried it y'all ways. I'm coming in. I'm just going to be here, comply, goodbye. I mean, it's just real simple to me. Because, and I'm gonna be honest, people, sometimes it takes that mindset on the staff side to get things done. And so the way that they need to be done. But I believe that they's doing it, fighting for you. Like I said, before any street was paved, it was crush and run. And so there's gonna be some ups and downs and trials. But you gotta go through to get to the other side, right? And that being said, thank you each and all for joining us tonight. I really appreciate y'all. Y'all could have been anywhere else, but y'all chose to come here today. And for that, I'm forever grateful. And just, I love you. And there's nothing that you can do about it. Now let's go win. Let's go be a championship. And let's say something good about South Fulton. Have a good evening.